Welcome to Legion Builds, where I guide you on how to bring your favorite characters into Dungeons & Dragons. This video and all my content is made possible by my Patreon supporters. It's also dedicated to everyone who subscribes to my channel. I wouldn't do any of this without you guys. Thank you. Today we're building one of the most loved X-Men characters, Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit. Gambit has the very unique ability to charge items he touches, causing them to detonate on impact when thrown. He does this by transforming potential energy into kinetic energy. Using his powers, Gambit can create shockwaves, accelerate his body's healing, accelerate his speed, shield his mind from telepathic control, and seems to have the ability to charm people. This is actually listed as an ability his powers grant, so okay, we're gonna add it. He also is a master thief, acrobat, and martial artist. Even picked up some death abilities when he became the Horseman of the Apocalypse, such as creating toxic air and disintegrating biological matter, so we'll add that too. For today's build, we'll be using the Player's Handbook and Xanathar's Guide to Everything. We're using standard point array to make things easy for you should you roll for stats, and we are multi-classing, so keep an eye on stat minimums, of which we will have 3. We'll start things off with Dex at 15. This was kinda telegraphed when I said you are a master thief, acrobat, and martial artist. A good Dex is everything to you. Charisma will come in at 14. There is a reason why you are one of the most beloved X-Men after all. Wisdom will be 13. This is a stat minimum, though I question it since you thought Apocalypse was going to help mutants. Bad insight check on that one. Con will be a 12 because, dear gods, you're going to need it to add something to your health. I'll help all I can, but if you roll, make this higher. Strength will be low with a 10, but it's not important for this build, and we're dumping intelligence. You're smart, but you're not beast smart, so it's really not important. Gambit is a mutant. Custom lineage is what it implies. Custom. This lineage grants a free feat and skill with your stat improvement. Place +2 into charisma. For your free feat, athlete adds +1 to dex and improves your movement. Standing up from prone now only costs 5 feet of movement instead of half. Climbing doesn't cost extra movement, and you can now do a running long jump or high jump after only moving 5 feet and not 10 feet. For your free skill, take Perception. For background, take Criminal and grab the skills Athletics and Deception. I don't normally tell you specific backgrounds because those skills are customizable, but it works for you. I think you know where we're going to start with this. Level 1 rogues start off with 4 skills. Grab Persuasion, Acrobatics, Stealth, and Sleight of Hand. Expertise lets you choose 2 skills you're proficient with, and now you can double the proficiency bonus to them. Let's pick Sleight of Hand and Acrobatics. Sneak Attack adds bonus damage to your attacks that you can make with a ranged or finesse weapon, and while you have advantage on the attack or are within 5 feet of an enemy of your target. This damage starts off at 1d6, but will eventually upgrade. We're going to be using daggers in place of cards until we get the explosive ones, which will come in a minute. Thieves' Cant is a special coded language of gestures, phrases, and symbols. Time for the booms. Level 1 Sorcerers start things off with a Sorceress Origin. This is a source of your power, and we're going to be taking the Draconic Bloodline found in the Player's Handbook. Heads up, we're not staying in Sorcerer long enough to get all the great benefits of this subclass, but we need it for one reason, and that is Draconic Resilience. This gives you an AC of 13 plus Dex when you're not wearing armor, which means at character level 2 you now have an AC of 16. You also get +1 to your maximum health for each level in Sorcerer. We need this because you're a frontline fighter and Sorcerer is not made for that. You'll need a little extra health and AC. If you roll for stats, you're going to know where to put this to get a better AC and better health. If so, change this out for a better subclass that has a better starting level. You also get Dragon Ancestor, which lets you speak Draconic and doubles proficiency bonus with charisma checks against dragons. You're also a spellcaster. You start off with 4 cantrips and 2 spells. For your spells, Firebolt lets you throw a flaming card that deals 1d10 fire damage on a hit. Thunderclap creates a shockwave around you that forces a con save on everyone within 5 feet of you and deals 1d6 thunder damage should they fail. Poison Spray releases a small cloud of poison at one creature within 10 feet of you and forces a con save, dealing 1d12 poison damage should they fail. Booming Blade releases the potential energy of your weapon. When you hit with a melee attack against an enemy within 5 feet with a weapon, the target suffers the attack as normal, but should they willingly move before the start of your next turn, they receive 1d8 thunder damage. Ray of Sickness fires a poison cloud at one creature within 60 feet and deals 2d8 poison damage and forces a con save. On a failure, the creature is poisoned until the end of your next turn. Magic Missile fires 3 cards that auto-hit their target out to 120 feet, dealing 1d4 plus 1 times the number of cards. You can add spell levels to add more cards. Okay, martial art time. Level 1 monks start things off with martial arts. Now when not wearing armor, your unarmed strikes and simple melee weapons are now dex based. You have a special martial arts dice for damage, and you can make a bonus unarmed strike with a bonus action after taking an attack action. Now your bow staff is dex based, which will always be better than strength, but heads up, we do have a problem. Your bow staff can't be used with sneak attack. A finesse weapon is a weapon that can be dex or strength based, but martial arts doesn't make your bow staff finesse. It just allows you to use dex instead of strength. People get that confused, but sneak attack requires a weapon that is ranged or finesse. Very simple. Your martial arts dice start off at a d4. Unarmored defense gives you an AC of 10 plus dex plus wisdom when not wearing armor, but draconic resilience will always be better. So as I said before, if you roll, put more into wisdom for a better AC so you don't really need draconic resilience. Level 2 monks gain unarmored movement. Now when not wearing armor, your speed is increased to 40 feet. Ki grants you ki points that equal your monk level that you can spend to perform special moves. For those moves, Flurry of Blows lets you make 2 unarmed strikes with a bonus action after taking the attack action for 1 ki point. Patient Defense turns dodge into a bonus action for 1 ki point. And Step of the Wind turns dash and disengage into a bonus action and doubles your jump distance for 1 ki point. Level 3 monks receive their subclass, Jump into Xanathars for Way of the Kensai. Path of the Kensai grants you several features, such as Kensai weapons. These are weapons you choose that lack the heavy or special properties that you are now proficient with. Right now, you have 2 Kensai weapons, 1 melee and 1 range. Choose either daggers or a bow staff and whatever ranged weapon you want. I don't care. Gambit never really uses range except when he throws his cards. Agile Parry turns your Kensai weapon into a defensive weapon. Now when you are holding your Kensai weapon but attack with an unarmed strike, you now have +2 to your AC until the start of your next turn as long as you are holding your Kensai weapon. Kensai Shot gives you a bonus action on your turn to make a ranged attack with your Kensai weapon that will deal 1d4 damage. Deflect Missile allows you to reduce damage you receive from a ranged melee attack. When you are hit with a ranged attack, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10 plus dex plus monk level. If you reduce the damage to 0 and have an open hand, you can catch the projectile and throw it back. You're now character level 5. Firebolt, Thunderclap, and Poison Spray now do 2 damage dice each, and Booming Blade now does 1d8 thunder damage on top of the normal weapon damage and now does 2d8 thunder damage when they willingly move. Level 4 monks earn our first ability score improvement. Place this into dex for better AC, attack, damage, and all your dex-based skills, which you have a lot of them. Slow Fall allows you to reduce falling damage with a reaction by 5 times your monk level. Disclaimer, I hold no responsibility if a player decides they are reducing falling damage by spinning their bow staff like a helicopter in a horrible movie. Not my fault, blame Fox. Quickened Healing allows you to heal yourself by spending 2 ki points and rolling a martial arts dice and adding your proficiency bonus. Level 5 monks gain extra attack. You can now attack twice with a single attack action. Stunning Strike lets you knock the wind out of your enemies by spending 1 ki point when you hit with an attack. When you do this, they must make a con save or be stunned until the start of your next turn. This save uses your wisdom modifier, unlike your spells which will use your charisma. Focused Aim turns a miss into a hit. When you miss with an attack roll, you can now spend up to 3 ki points to add +2 per ki point to the roll. Finally, your martial arts dice are now a d6. Level 6 monks now have ki empowered strikes and magical Kensai weapons. Now your unarmed strikes and Kensai weapons are magical, so your cards will always be dealing magical damage. Speaking of which, you gain a new Kensei weapon. Pick whichever weapon you didn't choose, and now you're charging your weapons for attacks. Death Strike lets you spend 1 key point to deal extra damage equal to your martial arts dice once per turn. Finally, your unarmored movement is now 45 feet. And that's all for Monk. I wanted to get you more Monk levels, but we need to improve your abilities in other areas, like Level 2 Rogues receiving Cunning Action. Dash, Disengage, and Hide are now bonus actions for you, meaning you freed up some key points for more damage. Level 3 Rogues now have their subclass, and we all know where this is going. Thief, found in the player's handbook, grants you fast hands. Sleight of hand skill checks are now a bonus action. So are checks made when you use your thieves tools to disarm traps or open locks or take the use an object action. Second Story lets you climb with no extra movement, which you already do, but it also increases your jump distance equal to your dex modifier. Let's calculate that right now, shall we? Your basic long jump is 10 feet, 14 feet with your subclass, 28 feet with Step of the Wind, all while only moving 5 feet. Good enough? Nope, but more on that later. Your sneak attack is now 2d6 extra damage. Level 4 Rogues earn another ability score improvement. Place this into Charisma for better spell attack and DC. Your character level 11 now. Firebolt, Thunderclap, and Poison Spray now do 3 damage dice each. Booming Blade now does 2d8 thunder damage on top of your weapon damage, and now does 3d8 thunder damage when they willingly move. Level 2 Sorcerers gain Font of Magic. This gives you sorcery points equal to your sorcerer level that you will eventually use to alter your spells, but for now you can use them to regain spell slots or burn spell slots to regain sorcery points. For your new spell, Jump triples your jump distance for 1 minute. This combines with Step of the Wind to give you an 84-foot long jump, so charge up your shoes or bow staff to launch you in the air without detonating yourself. Level 3 Sorcerers receive Meta Magic. These are special options you can spend sorcery points on to alter your spells. For those Meta Magic options, Twin Spell lets you split a spell that targets 1 creature, so now you can target 2 creatures. This costs a sorcery point equal to the spell's level, cantrips costing 1 point. You can now fire 2 Firebolts. Don't want to do that? Don't understand why not, but okay. Quicken Spell turns 1 spell with a casting time of 1 action into a bonus action for 2 sorcery points. Poison Spray someone in the face, then Booming Blade them with your staff, dealing 1d6 plus 2d8 and then 3d8 afterwards. You also now have 2nd level spells. For your new spell, Charm Person forces a wisdom save on 1 creature within 30 feet. Should they fail, they are now charmed by you for 1 hour and they will know what you did when the spell ends. Level 4 Sorcerers earn another ability score improvement, Cap Off Dex. For your new spells, Shatter throws an energized card out to 60 feet and explodes into a 10-foot radius sphere. Every creature within the sphere must make a con save or take 3d8 thunder damage. You get 1 more cantrip, go nuts. Level 5 Rogues now have Uncanny Dodge. Now, as a reaction, you can have the damage you take when you see the attack that damages you. Your sneak attack is now 3d6 extra damage. Level 6 Rogues gain 2 more expertise. Place this into Stealth and Persuasion. Level 7 Rogues receive Evasion. Now when you succeed on a dex save, you take no damage and half on a failure. Your sneak attack is now upgraded to 4d6 extra damage. Your character level 17 now. Firebolt, Thunderclap, and Poison Spray do 4 damage dice each, and Booming Blade now does 3d8 thunder damage on top of weapon damage, and will now do 4d8 thunder damage when they willingly move. Level 8 Rogues earn another ability score improvement. Place this into Charisma for better spell attack and DC. Level 9 Thief Rogues gain Superior Sneak. You now have advantage on stealth checks when you move no more than half your speed. Your sneak attack is upgraded to 5d6 extra damage. Our final level is Level 10 Rogues, and you earn our final ability score improvement. Place this into Charisma to cap it off. Now that we've hit level 20, let's recap. Your stats are Strength 10, Dex 20, Con 12, Intelligence 8, Wisdom 13, Charisma 20. Your total levels are Rogue 10, Monk 6, Sorcerer 4. Alright, let's dive in. Your cards are deadly and powerful. Your standard cards using daggers are now 1d6 plus 5 magical damage. You have multiple magical cards that deal 4d10 fire damage, 3d8 thunder damage, or can just auto hit for 1d4 plus 1 times the number of cards and force damage. You can also charge your bow staff to deal a grand total of 7d8 thunder damage if they move after you hit them. You can also turn air into poison around one creature, dealing 4d12 or 2d8 poison damage, and release a shockwave that causes 4d6 thunder damage. All of this is before we can even say you cast multiple spells or target multiple creatures. Your movement is amazing, your total speed is 45 feet, and you have a running long jump of over 80 feet. You have an AC of 18, can reduce damage, heal yourself, and finally you can charm people. Downside. Biggest problem? Health. You are only bringing in 120, taking the average, which isn't too bad for a caster, but you're going to be getting into people's faces for combat. Also, your sneak attack is very underutilized. You can't use it for spells or your bow staff, which will be your biggest damage dealers. You can still get it with your daggers, and that's it. Finally, your wisdom and intelligence are not good. Wisdom is going to be used for your damage reduction against range attacks and your DC for stunning strike, and it's only +1. And intelligence is a negative, which makes you a target for spellcasters. Now, some people would like to argue the fact that because your intelligence save is your proficient save, then that's going to counterbalance it with a +6. But that now means you only have a +5 to intelligence saves. That's not really good, especially when DC is very high, normally around 15 to 17. That means you're going to need a 10 to 12 depending on what level you are. So while yes, it does counterbalance it, I'm still going to list your intelligence as a negative to this build. But you know what? Who really cares about negatives? I'm not making optimized builds, I'm making your favorite characters. You can improve all of this by rolling for stats. If you roll for stats and put more into con and wisdom, then you do not need to take Draconic Bloodline as the sorcerer, and you can go to a much better one, like Divine, which gives you more spells, or even go nuts and go with Storm. Unleash that charm and get out of trouble, or just hit them really hard and make them blow up to you. Thank you for joining me today. Make sure to like and subscribe to not miss a single new build each week on YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to check out my Patreon where you can help decide next week's new character. And it's time for Mortal Kombat. Who will be the new character, Kenshi or Reptile?